So the key element to and taking my gels out of the box for today's run. Yeah, today in the Super Blast, I just want to have a bit more, cushion on the foot. And for faster paces, I feel like they work quite well. Faster, like not faster, but endurance compared to like maybe the Nimbus 25 on like some very chill, easy and lower endurance. Today, like a bit faster endurance, this is probably the right choice. So I'm going with them. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Today is really like building the base, building the aerobic base, and there's no need to push it. It's more like if the legs have that flow and if I feel confident like going a bit faster, but certainly not beyond aerobic threshold. Yeah. Okay, let's go. So what was hurting is I had a stress fracture in my foot back in October, at the end of October. It showed like, out of nowhere. I was training not so intensely, but I wasn't recovering enough, and so it's like the bad mix. I had a stress fracture. I recovered from it. It's proven. I did the test, the MRI, and so on, so it's fine. But when you have a stress fracture and the bone is building back around the fracture, you basically have more bone volume, and so there's some friction around the tissues, and you can feel it. So I believe this is what was hurting, not the fracture itself, because it's healed and it's good. But that new bone structure was really, in tension with the tissues around, and I believe that's what was hurting. So I would say what's important for me in this specific Tokyo training block is to get back with some proper volume, otherwise you will not get yourself in marathon shape. That doesn't happen if you don't run any volume. But the other thing, and that's really the balance between the two, is making sure that my body accepts that volume and that I'm not getting, either injured or that I'm not getting overtrained. So it's really the balance between, yes, you need some volume, but I need to make sure that my body is accepting it and coping with it and adapting to it. When designing the training plan, and when I'm saying this, it's a bit like weird because I know pretty much what I want to do, and this is what I tried to draw on the the piece of paper earlier today, show a bit the idea of the plan. So week 1, what I did is 40 kilometers, so it was like here. 2, I did 60 kilometers. Now we're in week 5. That's today when filming the video, and I will be doing somewhere around, let's say 85 to 90 this week. So probably something like this. This here is a Tokyo Marathon, and in the last weeks I want to be doing something like, so this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Here I want to be around 40, and here I want to be around maybe 60, like this. And this week 7 is again adaptation week, and I will be back at around, now to be honest, I'm tweaking it not on a daily basis, but like maybe once or twice a week, because there are some things that I need to adapt. There are some sessions that I feel are not, appropriate at the time I plan them, and I'm moving them or I'm changing them. So that's the first thing, is being very flexible. That's really key for me in this training plan. I don't want to follow something that I strictly planned at the beginning of week 1 until week 12 and be like, whatever happens, I need to do it. The second thing that is really important for me in the training block is to have 2 key adaptation weeks before the tapering. So like we discussed earlier today, the tapering is where I will go from higher load, higher fatigue, down to lower volume, but lots of freshness coming in the body. So you lose a bit of fitness in the tapering because you stop like doing, some key sessions that improve your fitness. You kind of maintain it, or you lose a tiny bit of fitness, but the freshness increases a lot because the fatigue goes down. This is really like, we're here and we're in the middle of the first main build part. Adaptation week will come right after that because I need it. I had a first adaptation week, which wasn't really needed, but it was more of a confidence thing after the first 2 weeks, despite it being like 2 small weeks. I needed to stop building too high, too fast, and adapt. And that's the same I'm going to do after the first build, the first block of build, 3 weeks, adaptation week here in week 7. then second block of build, the biggest one, and then tapering into Tokyo. If you don't adapt, you can hit the best training sessions ever in your life. If you don't sleep, if you don't taper, if you don't have adaptation periods, you will never improve as fast as you would or as, you know, to your highest potential. Today is like about 2 hours with some marathon pace or tempo type intervals, reps. I planned 5 times 10 minutes at tempo pace in the middle of the workouts. I may do only 4, it's like 4 or 5, let's see, but total 2 hours, you know, around that 28-30K. But I'm cold, I need to go warm up.
Why is it important to have intervals?
You know, it's like long run has many benefits without it, but when you're preparing for a marathon, I feel like it's good to bring a bit of that marathon, half marathon pace within the long run. But long run on its own has tons of benefits. You don't need necessarily to have that, but I like to mix a bit the two to add a bit of that intensity to the quality of the long run. Can you just give me the one gel so I have it in my pocket when we split? I have it.
We got quite a lot of gels today. Do you need that extra energy?
2 hours, around 200 grams of carbs, if I can digest it. But that's where I want to be. You know, all the recent science shows that just for performance and recovery purposes, starting at around 90 grams per hour up to 150 for the like top elite athletes, and especially on those sessions, you need the carbs. You need the fuel. So yeah, it's a lot to eat. But if you don't train the gut in the training, you will never be trained elsewhere. So yeah, let's go. Warm up done. Like 6 minutes of warm up remaining. The wind is so hard, fast, hard. I don't even know. It's like just so violent. Around 40 kilometers per hour with like gusts up to 70 kilometers per hour. For you in miles is like a lot, thousands of numbers. Yeah, let's go. Pace with like a higher wattage than I would like. That's because of the wind, and it's gusting, it stops. It's kind of a nightmare. But around 305, 307 watts for that 351 pace, quite okay. And so now the interesting part is rating the session. So this feature is actually quite interesting because like you can put, you know, the perceived exertion, very light, light, moderate, hard, or like I died. And this one I would say was like moderate. And now we have the session showing 26.5K, 1 hour and 55 minutes, average pace 4 minutes and 20 seconds per kilometer. Let's go through some details here. So it says it was a threshold session. I wouldn't call it a threshold session, but that's fine. There you go, you see the marathon, the paces, and heart rate 169, pretty much where I want to see it in a few weeks, so it's already quite good. Max 184, so not too much, not too high.
I think the key element to build properly towards a marathon, and I learned it because of mistakes I did, or any event actually, not just the marathon, but especially the marathon or longer events like, you know, triathlons, longer triathlons, duathlons for me. Don't overdo it. You know, you can only train so much and you can only cope with so much intensity. Don't try to make every session worth, you know, a world record or a medal. You won't earn any medals for good training sessions or for excellent training sessions. Make the training sessions correct or good. You know, try to hit the zones, try to be a bit indulgent with yourself. Don't try to overdo it, and don't try to be like, you know, mastering your training sessions and then failing at the race. The training sessions are meant to improve your fitness step by step. Again, they're not meant to be record-breaking events at every session. I know it because I'm so competitive with myself in my mind that when I was younger, I thought every 400 meter reps in training sessions or every 3 kilometer tempo block in a training session was meant to be my best 400 meter rep. I'm just making this up a bit, but the idea was really that I was pushing myself too much on every session. I know that I can be like only, 80, 85, 90% of my capacity on certain training sessions, and that's perfectly fine. If the training session is not nailed down perfectly, who cares? As long as the fitness improves and you're building to the marathon, just, don't overdo it, really.